Welcome to the Crucible Theatre, the home of the World Snooker Championship. But not always, because it was previously hosted in London, Liverpool, Birmingham, Bolton, Manchester, Melbourne, Australia, Sydney and South Africa before making its home here in 1977. And since then, it has amassed a myriad of magical moments. Take 1983, Cliff Thorburn, the first ever maximum 147 break, which, by the way, took about a quarter of an hour. And since then, here we've seen 13 more, including the fastest ever, Ronnie O'Sullivan in 1997. 5 minutes and 20 seconds was all his took. And by the way, he even dropped chalk halfway through. What about 1985? Arguably the most iconic match of all time. Steve Davis, Dennis Taylor. It went down to a final frame black ball decider watched by an audience of 18.5 million people. The most ever seen on a BBC Two audience and the most ever seen by a UK audience after midnight. But the most watched match was actually in 2016. Ding Junhui, the only Asian man to ever get to a Crucible final, and Mark Selby. That was watched by an audience of 110 million. The route to the final, over 200 million people. Unbelievable. And what about this? Only 3 people in history have achieved the season snooker slam. Steve Davis was the first in 1988, Mark Williams and Stephen Hendry, but he managed to do it twice. 22 world champions have been crowned here, and specifically here, on this very small floor. The history, you can absolutely feel it, and every single year, it comprehensively trounces any doubt about whether this should be the home of the pinnacle of this incredible sport, because this is our Wimbledon for tennis. This is our Augusta for golf. It's not perfect. It's better than that. It's the Crucible. And this is the World Snooker Championship final. And we're going to find out who will be crowned 2024 King.
What a 2 days it's going to be for the Wilson family, because Kyren Wilson is the first man into the World Championship final.
I've sacrificed so much to get to this point. This is why we play the game, for moments like these.
And Kyren Wilson will face Jack Jones for the trophy.
What a night in the life of Jack Jones. The Welshman has defeated Stuart Bingham to book his place in a first World Championship final. A fabulous achievement.
I've dreamt of this moment since I was a child. This is my time.
A sensational session, and the standard could scarcely be higher.
To win for my family would make it all worthwhile.
It's been a real battle here.
I only have one goal, and that's to be world champion.
World champion.
We are finally here, the warrior versus the silent assassin. It's the big time on the bays, the World Snooker Championship final. Nobody expected and nobody predicted. And as for us here in the studio, I'm delighted to be joined by Jimmy White and Rhian Evans. And Jimmy, it's special. Sheffield's buzzing, the Crucible's buzzing. We're absolutely pumped. It's a really incredible day.
Yeah, you know, you've got 2 guys not had a lot of form this season. Kyren Wilson, on paper, will be favourite because he's sort of demolished most of his opponents. And Jack, you know, he's been steady throughout. He's beat Judd Trump. And last night, you know, from the beginning of that match with Stuart Bingham, he was behind and got back into it. But once he gets in front, you know, he stays at the same level. So I expect it to be really tight. But for Jack to win, he's got to up his score and win a lot of frames in one visit.
Rhian, Jimmy alluded to it there. On paper, Kyren wins it. We know it doesn't work out on paper necessarily. But for Kyren Wilson, 5 ranking titles, never a triple crown. For Jack Jones, never a triple crown, never a ranking title. What does it mean to win a ranking title?
To win a ranking title, it puts you on the map, it puts you in the list of great players. So the triple crowns are even bigger and better. Obviously, you look at when you first start playing snooker, your dream is to become world champion and walk out the Crucible down those steps, hopefully not fall down those steps. But it's just a dream come true for these guys, and it's dare to dream, and may the best man win.
Absolutely right. Now, just in terms of the magnitude of upset that this could be if Jack Jones were to go all the way and win this one, 150-1 he was coming into this. His story has been absolutely fantastic. One of the very few qualifiers to reach the final. Terry Griffiths and Sean Murphy, the only two qualifiers to reach the final and crucially win. Almost 20 years since the Smurf managed that. But, Jim, just in terms of that idea of upset for you, whether we talk about, for example, Leicester winning the league a few years ago or 10 years ago, whether we talk about perhaps Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas in 1990, whether it's Emma Raducanu going through as a qualifier in the US Open in 2021 and winning, where would this be up there for you?
Yeah, massive. You know, like Boris Becker, you know,
yes.
no one heard of him. OK, he was really young when he won 17. It's up there with one of the biggest upsets, you know, like no one predicted this final. No one, you know, the odds coming into this competition, Kyren Wilson had no form, Jack's had no form, so it's whoever wins, it'll be incredible.
Any more thoughts on upsets? Because we can go pan sports here. Anything that you think, yeah, this would equal that?
Yeah, obviously you got Luke Littler winning
yes.
the darts. It was an absolute fantastic achievement. Although 16, I wanted to see his passport, but absolutely, but what an achievement! And he's still building on that now. So who knows what's in store for Jack if he does lift this trophy? What his future holds. So he's looking at Luke Littler as a bit of an inspiration.
And exactly right. And Luke Littler, Jim, granted he went to the final and didn't win it. The same with Jack. To be here, he's in the conversation. He's a part of snooker history now.
Yeah, and he's also, you know, showing us his all-round game. Luke Littler, he's, like, incredible, you know, like, if he'd have got that double, he'd have won the World Championships. But, you know, it's incredible for sport, incredible for snooker. But I think Jack's going to be around for a long, long time. For me, the three things he's got a fantastic temperament. He just focuses on his own game, but he's got probably one of the best techniques in the game.
Temperament and technique, could that take him all the way, and including kissing the Silver Lady? In the studio, it's been our home for the last 16 days. One more day to go. We've loved it here. But there is one more seat that's possibly slightly better, and that's the ringside seat that Rachel's got now.
Good afternoon from the Crucible for one of sporting's biggest days. It is the World Snooker Championship final. Behind us is the trophy, Alan. And the first question is, has it sunk in the magnitude of this for Jack Jones walking out in a final here at the Crucible?
No, it wouldn't have sunk in yet. We were backstage in the practice room just 10 minutes ago, and he was in there with his dad Colin, wasn't he? And he was just limbering up, going through the usual drill. But when he comes out here, the roof, as usual, as we know, is going to come off the Crucible. And then it's the realisation will sink in. He's in the final.
And not just the world final, his first ever ranking final, a position only a couple of players have been in the past.
Yeah, Sean Murphy and Barry Hawkins, their first ranking final was here in this century, shall we say. It's brilliant to have another one because there's so many questions need answering on this one, and I can't wait to find out. We're nearly there.
It's very exciting. In here you can feel the anticipation, the excitement ahead of two amazing days of snooker. And for Kyren Wilson, he's found himself in another final, but in a very different situation. He played Ronnie, he lost 18-8 there. He rocks up today, 3-1 on, fancied to become champion.
Yes, that's the odds. Everyone, I think, is in the Kyren Wilson camp on this one, but I think the start is absolutely crucial. More so for Jack Jones, I think. If he can get his claws in early on in this final, we know what he's like. He can keep them in there, and then Kyren might find it difficult to break free, but he's certainly playing the better of the two throughout the championship as Kyren.
It's certainly a final to embrace, and last year we saw a new world champion, Luca Bracel, the Belgian bullet. It was 2005-2006 where Murphy won it, a new champion in Graham Dott, and we will have a new world champion, so really exciting for the sport.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. The finals usually, obviously at the Crucible, you know, Luca, Selby, O'Sullivan, Trump, Higgins. That's not the case this time. Someone's got to step up to the plate, though, and take that little silver jug over there. And, yeah, I just can't wait to find out who it's going to be. It's going to be an amazing afternoon.
Absolutely, butterflies. Jack Jones said last night in the studio, you know, he's cool. And Jimmy said, you know what, he's so cool, it's annoying. How will he be feeling in just a few minutes' time? It's all about that, the trophy behind us. A great day in store here on Eurosport.
Thank you, Rachel. And that is the practice room that Big Al was just mentioning. And after the break, we'll be hearing from both men. What a tournament so far, and what a performance from both men.
What a 2 days it's going to be for the Wilson family, because Kyren Wilson is the first man into the World Championship final.
What a night in the life of Jack Jones, the Welshman, in a first World Championship final.
So not much sleep for Jack Jones, finishing in the early wee hours last night after all of his media commitments, having bettered the former world champion Stuart Bingham in yesterday's enthralling semi-final tete-a-tete.
Oh, goodness. Never rains, but it pours.
16.
That's another good pot from long range from Jones. 51. This has been easily Jack Jones' most convincing snooker. The most convincing snooker of the evening, and it's come from Jack Jones, who is beginning to dream of a World Championship final appearance. He's just 2 away now at 15-11.
Stuart Bingham.
Yet another black miss.
23.
There've been a few of those today.
Well, he didn't want to take the risk, and that's a much better shot in the end, deciding to go into the 2. I thought he could have played on 1, but that was a calculated risk which paid off.
And he's taken these very nicely. The cannon just now to release the 2 reds was key. Cue ball's close. Stuart Bingham concedes. A break of 70 from Jack Jones has put him on the cusp of the World Championship final. He leads 16-12.
Well, he was hoping for good luck there. He didn't really have much of an idea where that cue ball was going to end up, and he didn't get it.
Pink ball.
A little bit of a tester here with the rest from mid-range. Always missed it. That wasn't a clean strike. So Stuart Bingham does win a reprieve. And there goes the red that Jack Jones needed, that barring snookers will take him into the title match. What a night in the life of Jack Jones. The Welshman has defeated Stuart Bingham to book his place in a first World Championship final. He'll play Kyren Wilson for the title. He wins 17-12.
Both men turned professional exactly 14 years ago. Kyren Wilson definitely with the better CV, 5 ranking titles, 10 times at the Crucible, very much Mr. Consistent here. But as Rianne said, a world title will define a career. Kyren's been to this point one before, but the big question is, can he go one better now?
Kyren, first of all, a huge congratulations on your victory into the final. Can you just talk me through how you rate your performance?
Yeah, I mean, solid all round. I think I was very resilient. I wasn't quite at the races sort of all through the match, really, but session 3, I really sort of hit home and sort of capitalised on a few mistakes that Dave made. So, yeah, I feel like I've got a lot more gears to go through. So, obviously, it's exciting going into the final now.
How do you assess your level as you've gone through round after round to progress to this point?
Yeah, I played fantastic against Dominic Dale. You know, really kept the foot on the throat, if you like, against Darman. Played okay against Joe. Obviously ran out a comfortable winner in that one, but I knew that all assets of my game had to be on point against John Higgins in the quarterfinals. He's a player that I hold in such high regard, and you know, I felt like every aspect of my game, my safety, my long potting, you know, my break building, my decision making, you know, everything was there against John, and yeah, just solid again against Dave.
So you're up against Jack Jones in the final. He's just won the biggest match of his career. Where does your game need to be at in order to defeat him?
Just where it's been throughout this whole World Championships, really. I feel like I've managed to handle every situation, every scenario that's been thrown my way.
How much will you draw on your experience going into this?
Yeah, it's something that obviously I have the advantage of because I've been there and done it before. Sort of looking at it from an outsider's point of view in terms of not being involved with Jack. Obviously, he's on a bit of a free roll. You know, he probably would have never dreamed of getting to this point. I know he got to the quarters last year, but obviously this is another level. So, yeah, he's going to be dangerous because I feel like he's probably got a bit of a free arm at it. So, you know, like I say, I've got to try and use my experience that I've obviously been there and done it, and hope that holds me in good stead.
Great to hear from Kyren Wilson there. And Jimmy, Kyren's chatting to Jenny, looked as fresh as a daisy. I wonder how much of a factor that might be, because he's made it look pretty easy so far.
Yeah, no one's got close to him. As he said there, he played fantastic against Dominic Dale. He knew he had to play well to beat John Higgins. It was close with Gilbert, and then he sort of stepped on the gas. But throughout the whole competition, he's scored the best out of everyone. He's won a lot of frames in one visit. He thinks he's going to be world champion, which, you know, is a great asset to have. He thinks he's going to win this final, and, you know, that's the way you've got to be. But obviously, you know, if Jack levels up with him, it could be a closer match than... I think Kyren sounds very confident in that interview. He hasn't got the job done yet.
He's very analytical. I really like hearing him respond to every question that Jenny put there. He referenced that third session against Dave Gilbert, where his level just did not dip one iota.
No, that sums Kyren up to a T. It's very rare he does drop in his level. And he's just so solid, and as Higgins said when he played him, he seems so strong this year. There's something a little bit different about him. Ronnie mentioned a few times that his pace is better around the table, and his cue ball has improved a hell of a lot, which helps. And he obviously winning a little bit easier in his matches. He's, as you say, feeling fresh, feel a little bit, right, I'm up for this final, I'm ready to go again. Normally it can be so draining, the way he plays. But he's sort of, something has just changed, and I can't really put my finger on it. He said he's been working a lot off the table, which is helping him, but his ball striking has been second to none, a lot better than what it has been previous time. So, yeah, no wonder he's confident.
Jimmy, that route to the final that you mentioned there was mesmerising. Only one seed. You would never expect that on the route to the final at the Worlds.
No, incredible, you know, and I like what you said there, that he had to be pinpoint best on every part of his game against John Higgins out of respect. You know, the other players, except for Dave Gilbert, you know, then no one really's got close to him. You know, he has literally gone through the pack, and that is because of the one-frame visits. And I'm with Rianne. I think what has changed for me with him, he's a little bit quicker. You know, we always know he's got, like, this dead-straight cue action. He's a great long potter, great ball striker, and his positional play has improved. And he is favourite, you know, it has to be said. But he's not won the World Championship yet, so there'll be that in the back of his mind as well. So I don't know, Rads. I think it's going to be very close.
All we do know is there will be a brand new world champion. One man is a seed, Kyren Wilson, the other a qualifier. And let's hear from the man who's turning the odd books on their head.
Jack, well, congratulations, first of all, on the biggest victory of your life. Have you managed to process any of it yet? What's been going through your mind?
No, I haven't really. No, I don't get too excited, really. So I've got another big match tomorrow. So yeah, just take it as it comes.
Let's take you back to frame 4. It seemed that one really was quite significant. Did you feel it was a turning point in the match for you?
Oh yeah, 100%. I felt really bad until that moment. I didn't feel that nervous going out there. I felt like I was cueing really good. Probably a bit too confident in some ways. But then I missed a couple of easy balls. The nerves started to get to me. My hands went a bit clammy. Yeah, I was gone. And then I pulled out that clearance from nowhere, which settled me down. This
Campaign has been so successful for you so far. What do you think has clicked for you?
I didn't really have much confidence coming here into the tournament. I think that I always practice hard anyway, no matter what. And then it being a longer format suits my game, and my kind of mentality allows me to calm down and stuff. I think the long format just suits me.
You're up against Kyren Wilson, a former finalist. What kind of challenge do you face particularly against him?
I think he's just one of the best all-round players in the world. He's good long potter, good break builder, safety player. He's got everything there is, like solid cue action. So it doesn't surprise me that he's right at the top of the game. It's probably as hard as a game as I could possibly have in the final. He's in form as well, so yeah, hopefully I can give him a decent challenge in the final.
Listening to that, Rianne, one question: how has he done it?
I have no idea. I don't think he knows himself. As he said, he doesn't feel like he's played fantastic. He's just stuck in there, done his own thing, stayed in his little bubble. But as Jimmy said, his technique, his temperament, and he's got bottle. And that's one thing you do need to start winning ranking events, let alone World Championships. If you haven't got that, you won't do any good in any sport, let alone snooker. And it's a lonely sport out there, so you need a lot of that. And I just think he's just taking it in his stride. He's not getting overexcited. He's controlling his emotions. And it's showing all his experience that we didn't know he had.
And we saw that, Jimmy, against Stuart Bingham. First of all, Stuart Bingham gets 2 frames ahead, he levels him. 2 frames ahead, he levels him. 2 frames ahead, he levels him. But as soon as Jack got in front, Stuart couldn't quite close her ears.
Yeah, and his demeanour and his body language and everything doesn't change. You know, he was 3-0 down with Bingham, managed to win that 4th frame, get into the match. With Trump, he was 9 each and went on a burst and won 3 frames. But he just stays focused. He focuses on his own game. He's in his own bubble. But he hasn't played as well as he can play. You know, last year we've seen how brilliant he was against Neal Robertson. He took him apart. This was a nice long red there. You know, he's a really good curist, hits the centre of the ball. And this is another good long red. Stuart went in off. He places the white anywhere he can in the D. Lost the cue ball here a little bit. But where he has so much confidence, you've got to be dead straight, dead still to pop that. It's a difficult shot, looks easy. This was a nice positional shot. He's got to hit the pink half ball to move the red out. So he's got all the shots. Just coming up to this final, he's there through determination, and all parts of his game have been at a certain level. But to win this final against Wilson, he has to up his score and he has to win frames in one visit. His highest break in that match with Stuart Bingham was 72. That's not going to be good enough because, you know, you've got to be honest. Bingham missed 5 or 6 balls that he wouldn't miss in a whole tournament. He missed in that match that cost him.
Yeah, and you mentioned technique, temperament, bottle. We saw a little bit of that temperament, frame 4 against Bingham that Jimmy's talking about there, giving it that to the crowd, getting himself G'd up, 3-0 down against the Kosh, and he gives it back to him.
Yeah, I mean, that first red was very missable into a blind pocket, and he's potted a great green after that. He was unlucky to finish so far away from the brown, but he got the black out as well. But every ball in this little break, I think it was only a 40 break, but it felt like a 147 to him, didn't it, Jim? It was just fantastic. Every ball was going in the centre of the pocket, and before this, he looked out of sorts. He looked like what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. He came in studio, said he couldn't feel his legs, his arms, he was sweating, and then, but after that clearance, I loved that celebration. He's sort of right, now I'm here, now I've relaxed a little bit, he's got the crowd on his side, I can chill out a little bit, now let's get the party started, sort of thing. So he just seems a great character, doesn't he, Jimmy? Nothing phases him. He has a little mumble if he does make a mistake, but he's easily over it and gets on with it.
Jimmy, that frame that we talk about there, that was in the first session. We're seeing the guys backstage here now. Jack Jones, last match, first time at the one-table setup at the Crucible. This time, his first ever 4-session match.
Yeah.
Mentally, does that change things?
Well, it's new for him. Hopefully, he stays in his own bubble and just focuses on his technique. He did say in one of the interviews that he practices a lot, plays like many hours each day. So he's, for me, he's just got to focus on his own game.
And we're going to be focusing on both of their games because it's time to get this final underway with session 1 so we can talk to Rob Walker.
What an extraordinary run for a player with an extraordinary temperament. For 2 long weeks, he's been nerveless, beating multiple champions en route to the first major final of his career. He's the 6th Welshman to make it this far. He's bidding to become only the 3rd qualifier in Crucible history to lead and live the big one. Always calm, always composed, the silent assassin, Jack Jones. His opponent back for a 2nd world final after incredible form. For 15 days, his game has risen to another level, and he will believe this is his time to shine. In the final 4 years ago, COVID denied him a rousing reception. So this time, let's make sure he hears the roar. Here comes the one and only warrior, Kyren Wilson.
We've had to wait 16 days for this. It's seed versus qualifier, England versus Wales, Kyren versus Jack. 2 Curists, 2 pugilists. What happens when a warrior meets a silent assassin? It's time to find out.
The sun is shining on Sheffield today, but who will be basking in glory come tomorrow night? It's a matchup nobody predicted when this great event began. Kyren Wilson and Jack Jones for the World Championship title. Best of 35 frames, and it starts right here, right now, inside a packed Crucible. Customary photos with the trophy, and also Paul Collier, the referee, refereeing his last match on tour. What a way to go out. So, a hush descends. 8 frames this afternoon as this 35-frame match gets underway.
The first frame, Jack Jones to break.
Jack Jones, the world number 44, he had to win 2 qualifying matches to get to the Crucible in his first ranking final at the World Championship. And Kyren Wilson, who was runner-up to Ronnie O'Sullivan 4 years ago here when the final was sparsely attended because of the pandemic. But this is what both of them have been dreaming of course, all their lives, to play in an occasion like this with a chance to win the famous silver trophy and the £500,000 first prize. Wilson starting favourite, but Jack Jones has been beating the favourites along the way. It's a fascinating match, this. Looking forward to it, as I'm sure you are, Neal, as well.
Yeah, it was certainly not the match we expected, but we've been saying that from the semi-final stages, that we were going to see something that was unexpected, unusual, But to see a first-time winner, and we know we're going to have one this year, it's quite an occasion, isn't it, really? And Jack Jones just seems as if whatever was thrown at him, he's got the answers.
Well, from Wilson's point of view, he's actually, of course, been in the final. There's actually 8 players who've lost a world final and then won one, so that experience may be a help, but of course it's a different scenario for him. He wasn't at all favoured to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan. He is the favourite here. Jack Jones has been sort of shredding the form book, shredding the betting odds all through this tournament. What a story for him. Remember, he'd only been in one ranking semi-final before this tournament. Now here he is in the World Championship final. A lot of great players had never made it this far in this tournament. Just caught the blue there, but only thin. First time since 2005, when Sean Murphy played Matthew Stevens, that were guaranteed a new winner from the final. As Wilson lines up the first long red here.
Kyren Wilson's long game has been very good all the way through those early rounds. The match, especially with John Higgins, did the damage early with some great long pots to get in. Well, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? He's knocked the red up the table, but landed nicely on a different red, so it's a long match, but you can set the tone at an early stage.
9.
He's been saying for some years he believes he'll win this tournament. I think he does have that self-belief. You need more than that, of course, but it's a great asset to have. He's been trying to do everything right. He's been having hypnotherapy to help him sleep, help him relax.
16.
Yes, and as you say, he's done a lot of things to make that happen. It's one thing believing you're going to win something. It's like saying you believe you're going to win the lottery. You're probably not going to. But in this case, he's gone a long way, a lot of lengths to make it happen.
Well, this is a bit more high profile than their first meeting, which was at the Q School in 2011. They're both 24. Off tour, both trying to get back on. Wilson was 3-0 down, he won 4-3. Neither actually got back on that year. It's been a long road, of course, for both. If we look at his results there, 26 frames he's lost in this tournament.
25.
I think the thing about a long match like this is you can start well, you can play well, but you are going to have a period of play where you're not at your best. Otherwise, you'll sort of win it 18-3 as we saw one year, but generally speaking, you're unlikely to play well the whole way through. You've got to ride the bumps a little bit, but the good play will speak for itself. Incidentally, the 18-3 I was
36.
referring to, if you're not familiar with it, was in 1989. Steve Davis beat John Parrott by that scoreline. But rarely would you get anything so extremely one-sided as that. So you've got to accept the bumps in the road, I think. That's okay. He was very hopeful it would stop in time, that cue ball, and it did. Using the trusty rest for this shot, of which he's one of the best players with that implement in the world. Maybe putting the curse on him by saying that, but in general he's very good, and common knowledge that he is. How's this one going to fare? Same as all the others. Never in doubt.
There's the Wilson family, sons Finlay and Bailey, and his wife Sophie. Bailey's actually wearing John Higgins' bow tie from the quarterfinals. John gave it to him because he's a big snooker player himself. Because Kyren beat him there. Yeah, and you can see on the right-hand side there, Barry Stark. Kyren's parents on the left, but on the right, Barry Stark, who was his coach from a young age. Well, it's a confident start, isn't it? He was left the long red. Jack Jones played a safety, just brushed the blue, which meant the cue ball didn't quite travel towards the baulk cushion.
$56.
In terms of Kyren Wilson's snooker education, it was helped by his actual education. He used to get Fridays off school to go and play at a snooker academy. Very understanding headmaster, but it's all worked out for the best, hasn't it?
That's a good shot as well. He's right in behind the red now. He might have to stretch over 59. A little bit. Not really had a look in after that safety shot Dave mentioned, which just went slightly wrong.
60.
I find it very interesting with someone like Kyren Wilson. He'll put the extension on his cue and stretch across instead of using the rest. So even though he's a great rest player, clearly he still would prefer not to use it if he can put his hand on the table. It's a good start. I mean, it's one frame in a lot of frames, but he looks absolutely sharp. And this opening red was very well played. The cue ball, I like the way the cue ball bounced off the cushion for the black, as planned. So it's
68.
A chalker frame on the board already. Clearly, Jack Jones trailed 3-0 and probably should have been 4-0 against Stuart Bingham. So he knows that his chances will come, but not in this frame.
76.
No, he's been kept cold. He's on this red. Oh, little cannon. The last World Final that started with the century was back in 1993.
83.
Stephen Hendry against Jimmy White.
Yes, he's still going to do well to make the century, though, to add to that list. A couple of awkward reds, in which you'll need to pot them both. The one to middle is acute, but I tell you, the cue could not have landed better in behind it. Anywhere else
90.
it would be very difficult. But I suppose if he does pot it, he runs through on the blue and then the red down the cushion as a right-handed player. Or even from that angle, I don't know if he can move it out. I think he's got to play off the cushion. It's not quite right to knock the red out without playing a bit of stun. It's a great effort, isn't it? What a shot. It's the shot of a man who's in very good form, that last one. And he's not missing with the rest anytime soon either.
Well, he said how well he's been sleeping, but this is not a dream, Kyren. You've started the World Final like this. So this blue to kick off with a century. Superb. What a start for Kyren Wilson. Laying down a marker right from the off here.
102.
It's his fifth century here at the Crucible this year.
Been
so quiet all season. Just one semi-final in Germany. Missed several events because he hasn't been qualifying for them. Hasn't been high enough in the rankings. But it's all come together, hasn't it, over the last 17 days?
116.
Jack Jones has been just a spectator, really, since that safety shot he played left the chance.
122.
So we're off and running in this year's World Championship final. And Kyren Wilson has hit the ground running with a magnificent total clearance of 129. Yeah, terrific stuff from the Warrior. As I say, really laying down a marker from the off here.
Indeed, it was an excellent start. I mean, he looks razor sharp. He kind of dragged it in, and you know he finished low on the black, but there was nothing he could do. And I thought he played this shot really well because he kissed the red above it. The red went a long way up the table. The cue ball stopped dead as planned. That red actually ended up being rolled down into the left middle towards the end of that break, as you saw. He just got enough of the red so that he could get past the pink to pot it, but this was actually a really difficult shot. This one, well, I mean, as far as cannons go, it's top notch. Superb. And the rest shot to follow, knowing him, he doesn't miss. This is for the century, as Dave said. First time since Hendry did it. Brilliant start.
You're always wondering how these matches are going to start. Will it be sort of nervy, bitty? Well, that wasn't. It was the opposite. It was a total clearance, 129. Kyren Wilson already feeling good, looking good, and laying down a bit of a marker for his opponent. This is how I'm going to play today. How about you? Jack Jones actually has left the arena. Yeah, the players who've been in world finals at the Crucible and then won one. So they've lost a final, then they've won one. We've got Cliff Thorburn, Dennis Taylor, John Parrott, Mark Williams, Peter Ebdon, Graham Dott, Mark Selby, Judd Trump. So they'd all lost a final, and then came back a few years later and won one. And Wilson, the first day actually against Ronnie O'Sullivan was close, wasn't it? This was the shot to get on the last thread and complete the century.
Yeah, very good start. So it slightly reminded me of, if you could keep this up, you go back to 1991. I hope he's not listing Jimmy White when John Parrott started that first session. It was only 7 frames then. He won them all. And, you know, it's very early in the match to be talking about that. But if you go off absolutely playing at the top of your game, you can put distance between you and your opponent. And Jack Jones has only lost a frame, but he hasn't really had a look in yet.
Thank you. The second frame. Kyren Wilson to break.
So Kyren Wilson gets frame 2 underway of a possible 35. They play a total of 17 today, so someone will be in front overnight. Jack Jones just didn't have anything to go at in that first frame. What a story for him. He came here, you know, when he was 15. He played in junior pot black. They played it here at the Crucible. He lost to Ross Muir. A few years later, won the European under-19s. He was European champion as well. But what he's done here is already incredible. He'll be in the top 16 either way. Even if he loses, he'll be 14. If he wins, he'll be number 6.
I mean, Jack Jones' record here at the Crucible, before today, played 7 matches here and won 6 of them. Yeah, it's a remarkable record, isn't it? It was Mark Allen who took a long time to dislodge him last year here. Mark Allen now the world number 1, so all the boxes are ticked for the performances he's been putting in. And for some reason, people still slightly underestimate him, I think. Maybe that's going to have to stop. If it doesn't stop now, when will it? He's a 16 player, top 16. I don't think this man will underestimate him somehow. He's got away with that. The red was out of control. It could have gone anywhere, but he hasn't left it. And 1 frame is a very small sample size, but Jack Jones will get opportunities aplenty over the next 2 days to win frames.
What a picture, the Crucible Theatre. This actually is a historic final. It's the first world final between 2 players born in the 1990s. If anyone picked this before the tournament began, we want evidence, basically, that you did.
It's an interesting point, isn't it, about the players born in the 90s. I mean, you'd never write any of the class of 92 off, but is it now just the point that younger players are going to win this? Luca won it last year, age 28. I mean, it's quite difficult, isn't it? Bingham looked quite exhausted, I thought, yesterday. And, well, he was broken by Jack Jones, quite frankly.
It's Jack's dad there, Colin, who has been with him obviously all the way on this journey.
Nice shot, as played. Played a good shot there. He's asked a question of Kyren Wilson, who I think can get through perhaps to see a red, but not to see a thin edge of a red very easily.
Foul and a miss. Jack Jones full.
Yeah, probably come and have a look, but ultimately it's going to go straight back. Interesting to see where he puts this here, Paul Collier, because I'm looking down the line. I wonder if he can see a red full ball, which would, if he missed again, change things a bit, and he would be asked to hit one on the third time or lose the frame.
Okay, Jack.
I expect him to hit it the second time. I suppose I worry about it if he doesn't at that point. Those two reds, well, they're not a dead plant, but the left-hand red onto the two, if they're touching, it could be a reverse plant or a squeeze. I think there's a very good chance of that going in, actually. He's not quite sure.
He was quite bullish last night. He was asked in the press conference about, you know, the fact that Stuart Bingham, for example, was sort of saying you're quite a slow player and all the rest of it. He said it's the problem with the other players, and he sort of pointed out some of the average shot times in the matches were basically very similar to the people he played. But no doubt he's difficult to play, Jack Jones, and that's been a feature of him coming here.
Yeah, you're not there to be accommodating towards your opponent, are you? And it's difficult to play, this Jack Jones, because you know, he's a very good match player, hard player.
Yeah, I mean, you walk down the corridor, don't you, out here at the Crucible, the wall's full of them, actually. These people like Terry and Cliff and these guys, you know, venerated quite rightly as great players. But you can see there Wilson's safety stats for the tournament, 85%. So in terms of all-round brilliance, he's been superb in this event. Pot success at 89%.
Yeah, the problem with that shot is the yellow was not on its spot, so swinging it around the angles cue ball was never going to see the cue ball go behind anything. He made a superb start, Kyren Wilson, in frame one off a long pot to the opposite corner. So this is another one he's going to tackle here. This red is careering into the bunch. Goodness, it's all out of control here. So, not the simplest of opening shots for Jack Jones, but certainly a shot. The red bouncing around. Yes, he flicked that red below the black there, unintended.
Jack Jones, 1.
Well, in the semi-final, as I said earlier, against Stuart Bingham, he wasn't really hitting through the ball in the early frames, but he worked out what the problem was just in time for the mid-session interval. That was an unlikely miss for him.
One. Eight. Nine.
This was the red. He flicked the other red on the way through, which I think stopped the cue ball in its tracks, although, to be honest, I felt he'd pop that blue. Kyren's got the shot to swing the cue ball round off 2 cushions onto the black into the left corner, but the 2 reds above where the red he's playing now could get in his way if he doesn't get the pace right. They played deliberately low.
17. $24.
Well, the reds are all clustered up somewhat, and it's hard to see which red he can take next. I think from that, where he's pointing his cue, there is a red or 2 that is available. But it's a fairly specific area on the table which he has to land in. Well, he's landed bang on it as well.
32.
That's a beautiful stun run through.
$33.
Of course, Jack Jones missed the blue, so it's not on its spot. Would have been handy there.
Yes, he's watching that red to the left middle and see where he's landed. It's not hanging over the middle pocket where it is it? Very close to his bridge hand, but if he gets behind it, he'll be fine to roll it in. Thinking he'll prefer to not do so right now. It's another well-worked shot, that. It's gone fractionally too far, but still on a red.
So he did have a half chance, but that missed blue was the end of it. Will he get another in this frame?
$44. $45.
The rest, please.
Sure.
Well, I'm sure he played on this red.
52.
He's just carried on walking around, but I'm sure he must have played on the left of the pink. But overrun, he didn't flinch. He's just carried on. And there is danger in this shot. Yes, we know about his rest skills, but the pot and position is not that easy here. Just sense that it wasn't.
Kyren Wilson, 52.
It's almost like he pretended that's what he tried to do, but he didn't mean to be on that red. It was a little bit intricate, the shot, to get it and get position.
Of course, what he's also done is open the reds here, so a chance for Jack Jones. It's that sort of awkward one near the left middle, but a chance just to get his hand on the table, start potting a few balls here. He's been very cool all tournament, but surely there's going to be early nerves. Why wouldn't there be? This is such a big occasion. It's an occasion he's watched all his life. Now he's involved in it himself.
Yeah, what a chance that has arrived from virtually nowhere. Yeah, there's a couple of difficulties. The red and the blue up the table on either side. He's very good at getting, his teeth into a match, isn't he, Jack Jones? And here is a chance to do that if he can make some inroads on the deficit.
Nine.
He was on holiday as a boy in Corfu with his family, and he was playing pool. This is Jack Jones I'm talking about. And Darren Morgan was also there. He's a former player, semi-finalist here, and just noticed, he thought, yeah, you sort of, there's something natural about the way you do that. And it all started from there.
17.
Didn't have any great sort of ambitions at that stage, just was enjoying himself on holiday, and here we are all these years later. He's enjoying himself again. He's guaranteed 200,000 already. Top 16 will be in the Champion of Champions because both finalists get in. It's all good news for him, regardless of what happens. But of course, having got this close now, he wants to go all the way and land that trophy.
Well, he's taken the red down the cushion at a very early stage. Yeah, I wasn't sure this was easy at the time, as I mentioned. Neither was this, mind you. Never in. Never, ever there.
Jack Jones, 24.
I think he's left it as well. A very close cut back. I think this goes, but it's mightily thin. He put his hand up there to accept that he was a little lucky positionally. Jack Jones just shaking his head. He knew that he had an opportunity in this frame. Balls down the cushion have not been easy the whole championship. But if you hit them right, they go in.
It's worked out well. Actually, pushing the black safe has worked out well, hasn't it, with the lead he's got?
7.
Because he just needs these two reds now. Well, in fact, red and... yeah, the two reds should secure the frame.
8.
Now that has come out of nowhere.
Kyren
Again,
Wilson, 8.
the pink's run safe, which is fortunate, but missing it will concern him. What a chance that was. With all the balls safe, he looked a certainty to take this frame.
Absolutely. And as you say also, that the blue, pink and black are completely nailed down, aren't they? So, yeah, he's at the table, but I don't know how he gets the frame one here, I'm sure. Problem he's got is if he can drop that red in, the blue is not on his spot to be the next ball, you know. He could take his colour, get in behind that red, drop it into the left middle, but there's no backup colour that will follow it that easily. Yes, he can just take the cue ball away from the cushion.
5.
It's going to be a real tough assignment to win this frame. Well, he's forced to play the black here. He has absolutely no choice, I don't think. It's missable, but he has to play it. He'll need the black again at the end of the break if he pots it now. It's not there.
Jack Jones, 6.
He's missed a couple this frame, hasn't he? Chances that have been there.
Wilson just needs the yellow. He'll be relieved if he knocks this in. The red with the rest that he missed earlier, it wasn't easy, but the pink is the sort of ball You wouldn't expect him to miss, but it doesn't look like it's cost him. Where the balls were on the table were in his favour, the lead he had in the frame.
5.
But the difference with this frame and the first one is that in this one, Jack Jones did have chances.
9.
It's the black that stayed out, though.
14.
So it wasn't quite the clinical kill that we saw in frame 1, but it's gone the same way. Kyren Wilson on top early on here at the Crucible this afternoon, leading the World Championship final 2-0. Well, again, we can look back at some of the key moments of that frame.
Well, this was a key moment. Actually, it was very similar to a blue that he potted against Stuart Bingham in the 4th frame when clearing up. But this time he didn't pot it. And Kyren was always dominant in the frame, but he never quite got the job done at this point. He got on the red nicely. A little surprising when he broke down because, you know, ended up on this red. I didn't like it. It was not a nice shot to be playing. Thinking about the cue ball as well. So that certainly let Jack Jones back into the frame. He couldn't take advantage. This was the black. He wanted the black again at the end of the break. Had work to do, but he's missed too many balls already in the first 2 frames.
Yes, I mean, there's a long way to go, but clearly you want to try and get a foothold as quickly as you can, get yourself settled in, get on that scoreboard. So it's 2-0 to Kyren Wilson here at the Crucible in Sheffield. As I say, very sunny day today, but of course all the snooker fans here have got no interest in that. Packed inside. The tickets actually went on sale this morning for next year, and already the finals sold out, a lot of sessions sold out, but also a lot of happy snooker fans here have got their tickets already for various sessions next year.
Yeah, and a lot of people I've seen say, well, you know, if they'd sold out for next year, why are we playing here in this venue that doesn't hold 1,000 people? But actually, I would argue that they're sold out because people want to come here. That's one way of looking at it. A bigger venue may or may not sell out, but is the attraction with a bigger venue the same as coming to this sort of piece of snooker history?
Well, certainly, I'm sure you're the same. I've met a lot of people from outside the UK who travelled, made the pilgrimage, and here we are, the final, with Kyren Wilson 2-0 up.
Thank you. Frame 3. Jack Jones to break.
So frame 3, Jack Jones didn't get a look in frame 1, but had a couple of chances in the second, but Kyren Wilson's won them both.
Well, I think he's just looking to see if the black is available now. It's not available anytime soon, but if he potted the red to the right of the black, does the black then go to the left corner, or is the red on the left blocking that off? Because it would be a way to find out if this break is possible.
1.
Possible to make any substantial scoring visit here. Well, that's not a great place for the pink to go, I would say. I don't know if that red
7
that's up in the area close to the bolt line now pots anywhere. Does it go past that pink to the top right pocket? Be something he needs to look at.
Well, he's played the aggressive shot. The blue's blocking the red to the corner pocket at the black end. There's one that goes to the green pocket, slightly hamper Kyren, but he's trying to get things into play there. Just a bit awkward, though, this. I think what we've seen, you know, talk about his sort of tactical game, yeah, but he has attacked in this tournament, and he's kept his cool against various players who've been heavily favoured to beat him, including a couple of world champions, Trump and Bingham. Zhang Anda, remember, in round 1, was one of the players of the season. Si Jiahui, one of the players here last year.
The other thing, Dave, of course, he was playing on the very first morning here, wasn't he? He was on the opposite table to Luca Brissell and David Gilbert, so he's been in action from session 1, and now he'll be in action in the last session as well. So it's not as if he got brought into the tournament a few days in, as some players would, depending on their draw. Goodness, he got nowhere near that. I think it may have looked worse with that low camera angle, but
Jack Jones 13.
I don't think there's a camera angle you could find that would make it look very nice. It was a horrible shot to have to play, first of all, with the spider. Well, that's the cue ball was running a little loose there, wasn't it? Got a few different options here. I mean, that red over the pocket. There's a red over the other pocket, which is quite thin. I think you can get to the red in the middle. They've all got a pot available, but positionally they're not easy. Still takes some good cueing, because he can pot the red, but it looks absolutely straight, doesn't it? Where's his colour? Did well to get out of there. I don't have him down as someone with a, you know, an absolute abundance of cue power, but he clearly got enough on the strength of that shot. Saw the cue go up in the air. It's very hard to keep your cue on the bridge when you're using that kind of excessive force and screw on the cue ball.
4.
Now, are we sure here that the blue won't go on its own spot? Not an easy one for any referee, because they're going to have to have a look across at the blue spot. It's not the easiest, most accessible spot on the table to get to. Paul Collier will have a little close look at this. He doesn't want it to spot. And he's got his way.
9.
Well, that was not hit very well, that last shot. He nearly missed the red. That's why his position's not A1. He can, sometimes when he's not playing well, and that clearly isn't the case at this moment, he can drift out of position a little bit in breaks. And then things get to the point where something has to give. He's never going to be
13.
a touch player. And that's not really his style. But what he is, he's very good at what he does. A lovely straight cue action.
Yeah, strangely, his potential was spotted in a similar way to Jack Jones. I mentioned Jack on holiday and Darren Morgan playing pool. Well, Kyren played Peter Ebdon when he was very young.
19.
It's a charity pool frame, a couple of frames, and Peter said to his family afterwards, again, you know, your lad, I think he has something, because he was from that area, sort of North Hants area. Red wriggled in. Of course, a lot of
20.
you know, kids have something, don't they? But it's about all the work you do after that, and the dedication, and the desire you have to keep working hard. He's certainly done that over the years.
Yeah, as Dave said, this one just wriggled before it went in.
26.
I think these two are very similar in that,
27.
aren't they? They're both incredibly hard workers at their game. There might be more gifted players in snooker, but not many more dedicated than the pair of these.
$33. It's a panel later. We're going to pull it across. Just in the full way. Yeah, sure.
I think there's just something in his eye line.
Can you just pull that panel across, please?
So Paul College is asking for someone to cover it up.
No, this one here. Thanks.
Yeah, because he's on top at the moment and he's looking to press on as much as he can.
$34.
I think we've seen, though, this tournament is so different to all the others. He came in last year playing really good stuff. He'd just been in the final of the Tour Championship, where he played brilliantly, and a lot of people were fancying him to get on the run. This year, wasn't even in that tournament, because he'd had a disappointing season. Was not being talked up, but here he is, already justifying his status as favourite in this final.
40. $41. $46. $47.
about that? That is a glaring error.
Kyren
This is
Wilson,
the
47.
point. He started off as if he was never going to miss a ball for 2 days, but of course snooker's not like that. That is a surprising one, isn't it? I mean, it really is. He's doing very little there but to pop the ball and stun run through. And the only way this will mean anything is Jack Jones somehow can take the frame. It will mean something then, all right? Now, is he going to play the little cannon? He loved the black in play here. Oh, goodness, I think he's on the black, but that was not a good shot. It always brings a bit of anxiety to somebody who's missed their chance, and Kyren has missed his there. Jack is faced with a big problem now, though. I mean, he couldn't hit that much worse, that cannon. He's not got any real table time, has he, to speak of in this match yet? It's not in. So it's gone unpunished. I think that is the key. The Wilson miss, which was easy. Easier than Jack Jones' miss, but it all amounts to the same thing, an unpunished error.
Yeah, Wilson missed a pink in the last frame, albeit he was in front and the ball's awkward, but again, it was a pretty unexpected mistake, but it's all in the past if it doesn't actually cost him.
One.
Like I said earlier, and it absolutely is the case, he was 3-0 down against Stuart Bingham.
8.
And he could not pot a ball. And then he managed to just get his game together to take frame 4 from behind. He didn't look back after that. So he's been down this route before and survived it, Jack Jones. Bingham was all over him. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but he's got it in him to
16.
Find his form.
17.
Yeah, I think he sort of needs to get in first in a frame and just get his hand on the table, just try and make a nice break. All very easy to say. Wilson, though, he has missed a couple. OK, they haven't cost him, but it's not been completely flawless.
23.
His supporters don't care about that. They're looking at the scoreboard, of course, and it's going to be 3-0 shortly. Whoever wins will be only the 28th name to be engraved on
25.
The famous silver trophy. It's been presented since 1927.
$29.
So he hasn't quite kept up the form from that incredible first frame with the century, the total clearance, but he's done enough to win the next two. It's a great start for Kyren Wilson to the World Championship final. He leads Jack Jones here in Sheffield by 3 frames to 0. OK, so Jack Jones trying to join this list of Welsh champions. It's a short list, isn't it? Here at the Crucible, just 3. Of course, Ray Reardon did win it 5 times prior to the Crucible. Terry Griffiths as a qualifier, in fact, first season pro in 1979. And, of course, Mark Williams 3 times, most recently 2018. He's only the 6th Welsh finalist. It's a proud moment for him and his home nation. What a list to get on. Doug Mountjoy and Matthew Stevens have also been runner-up from Wales. But Reardon, Griffiths and Williams, they're the 3 champions. Wilson and Jones head-to-head here at the Crucible, and it's 3-0 to Kyren Wilson. It's a good start, clearly, but a long way to go. It's first to 18 who becomes champion. This was this awkward black he left himself after Wilson missed the blue, and ultimately that cost Jack Jones the frame.
Settle down, please. Quietly, please. The fourth frame. Kyren Wilson to break.
Last frame then before the first interval. Can Jack Jones get himself involved in this final?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? I think he really could do with this frame. It's not so bad. 3-1 down. Many a final has started that way. If you lose all of the first four, you've got not much to take to the dressing room with you, have you, for your 15-minute break, whatever. But as I say, it happened in the previous match. Kyren Wilson, he has missed a couple of shots. That's the point, you know. He's not a machine or anything. He's playing very well. The balls are going to be missed, although if they go unpunished, then I don't think he's going to keep missing. Well, played the figure of 8 wide safety shot, which is usually an attacking option because you can bring reds into play and send the cue ball into an awkward area. There is a possible pot on here, but it's not an easy one. Finish red. The cue ball like heading maybe towards the bunch if you don't get it right. Last thing you want to do is hit the bunch. Yeah, he's not playing it. Well, I think the crowd worked that one out from an early stage, didn't they? That there was an infringement there, a foul.
Jack Jones set.
It's not a free ball, though, I don't think. I'm sure, looking down the line, that it isn't one. So So what it is instead is a safety shot which is not simple. Well, it's an important safety battle, this one. It's one that Jack Jones really could do with winning. Yeah, but that is a very good shot from Kyren Wilson. A really dangerous area he's left the cue ball in. And there is a little bit of that red sticking out. Probably you can see about a quarter of it, in fact. You can easily miss these all together, though, and try to get the thinnest of contacts. Beautiful cueing again. The straightness of that cue action, I know I keep on about it, but goodness, he really does hit through that ball. And I know that's what you're meant to do, but it's one of the hardest things to do. He's got a very grooved technique that he's worked hard on over many years.
6. Seven.
Well, it's another good start to a match for Wilson. He's only been behind a couple of times in the tournament. That was against Dave Gilbert, just the odd frame a couple of times in their semi-final. He hit the ground running in his other matches. Clearly come here
14.
Prepared properly on and off table, and he made the point, and it's easy to say now, but you know, some of the other players who've been going deep in tournaments may be a little jaded by the time they got here.
15.
He's certainly not that, because he's not had a particularly productive season, so he's a bit fresher. Wilson knows the threat Jones poses, and he knows he's got to make hay while he's not maybe quite with it.
23.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, ultimately, you can either think about it, how far you're ahead of your opponent, or you can think, well, my task is get to 18 frames before anyone else does. So, really, that's one way of looking at it, just win frames. And Jack Jones, though, while he hasn't won one, he won't be very happy. It takes a while to settle into a match, but it only happens when you get something on the board.
He was wincing there because the cue ball has travelled further than he intended it to, so he's got the rest out again. No problem, though.
Certainly a great asset to have to be that good with the rest. If he'll need it again here or not. He thinks that that one bounced a little bit too
34.
strongly off the cushion as well. The arm sort of went up a little. This time I believe he can reach it comfortably. Oh no. Get the rest out. Like shelling peas, isn't it, with the rest? I think I'd just carry that round all the time with me if I was Kyren, just play all the shots
35.
with it.
$37. $38.
As you saw, he didn't have a very wide angle there, but he forced the cue ball
43.
in behind that red nicely.
$44.
Well, it was the fourth frame, of course, against Bingham when it suddenly turned, and that's what he's got to remember and keep hold of in these next few moments.
$51.
It's a bit of a worry, though, isn't it, for him? Let's be
52.
honest. If it goes 4-0, it is a concern. It's a long match. You know, there are potentially 8 of these mini sessions in amongst the 4 sessions there are. But you've got to win some early frames, not to get a little bit of sympathetic applause and everything from the crowd. You don't really want any of that. You want to be a proper part of the match, and at the moment, Kyren is doing enough. He looked at the
57.
scoreboard and he realised there's a bit more work to do there. Two reds and colours, one
58.
colour now and a red and a colour after it. Interesting he's played on that red. I don't think you'll miss it for 1 second, but we've seen a few of them stay out. I guess if he rolls it in,
65.
Jack Jones could only tie the frame. Never in any doubt, was it? But
66.
it's not quite done yet, this frame. Not quite.
Especially not now, because there's still 59 available. That's the difference. So, not quite there yet.
No, there's an argument you can just roll the black onto the side cushion, but it's probably not the most positive option. Well, the black's gone safe. That is in all ways a bad result. The red's over the hole and the black's safe. The red over the hole being the main feature of it. So Jack Jones has drawn a blank in this final so far. He seemed to have been able to find a way in all of his matches, but this is a new challenge for him in this final.
Yeah, I think one of the most concerning things actually for him is that Wilson's missed a couple of sitters along the way, hasn't he? He missed the pink in frame 2, the blue in frame 3. That black that he's just missed, he wouldn't call a sitter, but he has missed balls despite making that total clearance in frame 1. But the fact is he's played by far the better snooker, and he's going to be 4-0 up, and you can't ask for more than that.
Nine. Ten.
Black bullies its way in.
17.
It's been a very busy season again on the World Snooker Tour, but all roads always lead to Sheffield.
18.
Question really from probably the turn of the year at the Masters, who's going to be world champion this year? Well, it's come down to one of these two, and Kyren Wilson, he's starting to look like a big favourite. Jack Jones has had a few chances. His highest break so far in this final, 24.
25. 28.
Long way to go and all that, but things are going to have to start to turn. You feel in the second half of this afternoon.
32.
There's one thing about Wilson, he's a very confident character. His family are well aware of that. They'll be liking what they're seeing so far. He'll be determined to press on. He won't take his foot off the gas, so Jack Jones has to try and find a way in. He has to stay in. He has to do what he's done all through this tournament, which is make it difficult for opponents.
43.
So Kyren Wilson on top in the early stages of this year's World Championship final. He started with the total clearance of 129. Jack Jones has been unable to get anything going, and it's Wilson leading by 4 frames to 0 as they head to the dressing rooms.
Well, the scoreline certainly a perfect start for Kyren Wilson. A long way to go in this one, 4 sessions, no less. Now, the World Snooker Championship is the crescendo of a big snooker season. It's a long one, 17 ranking titles in all, 3 triple crowns. Fantastic seasons for Ronnie, for Alan and for Trump. So let's take a look back now at how last year's World Final took place.
Snooker's greatest stage awaits the biggest match in our sport. So will it be Mark Selby for a 5th time or Luca Brissell for a 1st? And that's what you call a quick kill. 6 minutes for the opening frame of the final. Fantastic from Luca Brissell. He leads Mark Selby in the World Championship final 3-0. So Selby on the scoreboard. Luca Brissell has definitely made the running in this match, but things have just been clipped here. So it's advantage Luca Brissell after session 1. He leads Mark Selby, the 4 times champion, by 6 frames to 2.
Wowee, a 134 total clearance. I think that's known as a statement of intent from the 4 times world champion to close the gap to 6 frames to 3. Incredible stuff. A spectacular start to the evening's entertainment here in Sheffield. Luca Brissell responding with 92 for 7-3. And now Mark Selby is 2 pots away from yet more Crucible history. Is he on the black? You bet he is. Magnificent. History made. The first ever maximum break in a World Championship final here at the Crucible. A wonderful moment for Selby and for this crowd. Luca Brissell still leads, but his lead has been cut from 4 frames to 1 at 9-8 overnight. Wonderfully unconventional. The Belgian bullet is firing on all cylinders here, and Mark Selby is back in the mire. A three-frame burst with some scintillating snooker to move 4 clear once more. Little tap of his knee there from Selby, because this has been just too good. Luca Brissell looks unstoppable, he looks unplayable. That was a huge frame for Mark Selby to win. It could have gone either way. It was nervy, it was tense, but it's gone Selby's way, 13-10. Another outstanding session of snooker. At times he's been unplayable. When he comes back tonight, he'll need just 3 to be crowned world champion. He leads Mark Selby, 15-10.
Selby has done what Selby does. He won a very scrappy frame, and then he came out and he made this century.
A total clearance of 122. The final is a long way from being done.
So a final that looked like a procession has turned into a genuine thriller. Mark Selby's won 5 on the spin. There's 1 in it. This is anyone's now. Luca Brissell stops the rot. He's 1 away at 17-15. This is the moment Luca Brissell is the world champion.
Just look at this, Dave. Isn't it marvellous?
Cool hand, Luca is the world champion. It's Brissell's title after a classic Crucible final.
Three bits of motorsport to mark your card on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. It's the WEC 6 hours of Spa on Saturday at 12:30. As for Formula E, that comes from Berlin. It's a double header on Saturday at 2 o'clock. Just a quick reminder, it's available on TNT in the UK. And finally, the Speedway from Warsaw. That's on Eurosport and Discovery Plus from Saturday at 6:30. But as for us here in the Crucible, it is Kyren Wilson 4, Jack Jones 0. Jim, a dream tournament for Jack. Nightmare final.
Yeah, it's a nightmare start for him. Like, first frame, Kyren's come out and had that fantastic total clearance, cue arm nice and loose. And the second frame, Jack's had a few chances, not going through the ball, a little bit jabby, you know, not settled at all. Kyren's missed a few, but he's got away with it because Jack's not, you know, he's not come back at him yet. So at the moment, it's a big concern for Jack Jones.
Huge concern, and especially with the first frame ton from Kyren, Rhiannon.
Yeah, that's how champions start big finals like this, and he's proven himself to be one of those. But it started with a great long red from Kyren, and his long game has been awesome through the tournament. So, yeah, you can just tell he's comfortable out there with his own game within himself. And as I say, Jack played a safety shot, just grazed the blue going through, so lost a little bit of pace, but this was a nice sweet strike, and he knew he had to leave himself awkward on the black as well, so this was even better than the long red, really. I know he had the red stopping the white travelling up the table, but it was still a difficult black to pot, especially early doors, and then to obviously try and get the centuries. Played a fantastic cannon off the red, off the cushion here. I didn't know if he had the angle or not, but digging down, he ended up with a great position on the red and ended up with a fairly easy blue to seal the century and go on and clear it. And I'm not sure there's been many centuries, total clearances in first frames of a world final before.
Alan McManus will be on the case with his almanac, no doubt there. And Jim, in frame 2, it was kind of the story of the next frames where Jack has had chances.
Yeah, you know, because, you know, you're not expecting... you know, this blue was like the blue he potted in the 4th frame when he got back with Bingham, but he's just cued across that, so a bit concerned. Exactly the same here. The cue doesn't go through, and he's actually not on line again, so he's not actually settled. And this black, with his kind of action, that's definitely never going to go in the pocket. But he's got to find his technique. He's got to keep believing in it. It will click, but unfortunately... For Jack at the moment, Kyren is, as soon as he's getting in, he's fancying clearing up. So, as I said, he's under a bit of pressure at the moment, Jack Jones.
He really is, because he's 4-0 down after 4 frames. However, if we know one thing about him, when it goes deep into a session, he begins to find his gear. And dare I say, he might need his top gear if he's to currently level Kyren Wilson. Possibly 2-all he might take at this stage, maybe 3-1, which would mean it's a 2-frame match. cash was on the line. 2 147s in the 3 Triple Crowns, and you get yourself 140k or 147 large ones. 2 from the Wilsons, Kyren and Gary. Ding and Mark managed one in the Masters. By the way, what a special tournament that was. Joe O'Connor, this year's Crucible debutant, managed one as well. It really has been fantastic. And we mentioned at the very top of the show the fast one by Ronnie O'Sullivan, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Shaun Murphy produced magic at the shootout. Let's remind ourselves of that rapid 147.
Just the one cue for Shaun today. I suppose in a 10-minute match doesn't really have time for 2 or 3 changes. Surprising that nobody from the top 16 has ever won this tournament.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best cueists out there in the game, isn't he? And this is a good start. Should we whisper it? 4 reds, 4 blacks?
I'd certainly already be aware of it. Good close control of the white. A serious opportunity.
I'm on top, sleeping. Yeah, I got bored from feasting. Yo, they can't see me.
Yeah, the crowd is certainly aware of the possibility of 147.
I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up.
So all eyes on this maximum attempt.
I'm the king of my realm, king to do it myself.
Anyone else getting nervous?
I don't know how to settle. I stay mashing that pedal. I ain't standing, I'm special. This is a whole other caliber. Where they Excalibur. I put it into a challenger. Gold in my calendar. I think I just hit my peak. Ain't nobody sitting like me. I don't ever try to let me.
Tremendous shot.
I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up. I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. I'm leveling up.
Brown to blue, blue to pink, the biggest obstacle. Apart from the nerves and the excitement. Fantastic attempt. Brilliant shot. Struck it beautifully.
This is quite incredible. 1 pot away from a maximum break here in the shootout. Shaun Murphy. And he's done it!
Phenomenal achievement. Fantastic break in these circumstances.
It's been a very special tournament for qualifier Jack Jones, who's bettered 4 seeds, including 2 former world champions, to get here. But he's currently up against a player in Kyren Wilson, who's very much in the form of his life. Now, we talk about experience. There aren't many more experienced than the 3rd protagonist in this final, the referee, Paul Collier. It's his 4th time doing so, and he caught up with our Jenny.
Well, I'm alongside a very special guest here at the Crucible. It is Paul Collier, the referee of the final. Now, it's extra special for you because this is your 4th and final refereeing job of the final here at the Crucible.
Yeah.
How special is that occasion for you?
It's going to be very special. You know, it's been a long time. Was it 20 years since the first final I did? I've been 32 years on tour. And yeah, I'm going to be saying goodbye to it, hanging up the gloves. So.
Is it going to be emotional for you?
I think so. I mean, hopefully I've been around long enough, I should be able to keep any emotion in, you know, through the match. I think it might be at the end when you finally shake hands and know it's over, it might be a little bit different. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it anyway.
Look, you've mentioned that you've been on the tour for a long time. How do you see the snooker game now from when you first started?
Oh, very different. I mean, the standard now is so high, the players are so good. You know, the prize money is at a decent level, which it wasn't back then. I mean, the first week of refereeing I ever did at the Norbrecht Castle in Blackpool, I did, what was it? It was best of nines. I did 7 days and didn't see a 50 break.
Really?
Yeah, didn't see a 50 in that time because it was, you know, players had played to go pro.
Yep.
They weren't used to the standard of the tables and the conditions. I mean, obviously improved a lot as time went on. But, yeah, I've seen a lot of players come and go. I've seen, you know, the standard rise, and it's all been great.
Now, like, you must have so many memories. What would you say has been your most memorable final?
Probably the first World Final.
Frame 26, Graham Dott to break.
It was a bit of a different experience for me because most people who do the World Final will have done a semi-final first, so they will have seen the one table.
Yeah.
But however the rota worked out, I didn't do that. So when I first walked out, it was my first final, my first one table. You know, Ronnie's there, you had Reardon the Great up on the balcony, you had all those things. So it was, yeah, it's the one I think I remember a lot more of than the others. I watched it on television for so long.
Yeah.
You know, my goal really was one day to referee a match at the Crucible, and suddenly you've gone through all that, now you're doing a final, and it's a great experience. And the big difference is, of course, this: when there's one table in here, you've got all the room in the world. When you've got two tables, it's the smallest arena on tour.
Certainly.
Yeah, you know, so you can suddenly move around a lot more freely, you can be in position a lot more, and it does make things a bit easier.
Now, like, we're here at the Crucible. What do you make of this wonderful theatre?
I wouldn't want it to be anywhere else, I don't think. I mean, you know, I agree with World Snooker. We've been talking about extending my role and becoming a tournament director. We started discussions about 5 years ago. We first mentioned it, and then it all became a bit serious last September, October.
Yeah.
But we didn't know I was doing this final until just a few weeks ago. So it's a great way to bow out in you know, what I think is the best arena.
Indeed. Well, I wish you all the very best and good luck with your next ventures.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Congratulations to Paul Collier, who will definitely be missed in that role, although very much involved behind the scenes as tournament director. And Jim, a real pillar for the World Snooker Tour.
Yeah, he's been a fantastic referee. He's a real good guy, very strict. He's taken over the role as tournament director. And he also kindly puts tips on for players. You know, if their tip falls off and they're panicking and they haven't got the super glue and there's a tip box backstage, you know, he kindly does that for players. So he's an all-round nice guy. Everyone likes him.
How does that work, Brian? So is it literally a case of my tip's falling off? Paul, can you help us out?
Yeah, thank God he's not retiring altogether. He's still going to be backstage with his tip box and the equipment, yeah. But it's a lot of... I do my own tips, but a lot of players have no idea how to do it. So it's a good job is on hand to re-tip or file it down a little bit or something, yeah. But I was surprised to hear that many players can't even re-tip their own cue.
Well, thankfully, there has been no real tip chat gate so far. Who knows, that may unravel and unfold. But Jim, Jack Jones, 4-0 down against Kyren Wilson, not looking great. What does he need to do for you?
I should imagine he's been on the practice table. You know, guaranteed that because he's not had much table time. He will get some chances, but he has to take them now. Kyren will be looking... His goal now is to get 2 out of these last 4. Any more than that, it's a bonus. Jack has to get 3 of these frames because, you know, otherwise I think Kyren might, you know, keep kicking on, getting stronger and stronger. But Jack, at the moment, he just feels, you know, he's not at the races yet. He's not had his hand on the table. He's not potted more than 4 or 5 balls on the spin. So at the moment, you know, I feel for him a bit because he's under the cosh and Kyren's not giving him any opportunities.
Yeah, looking at the information we've got there, we've got our data on what we call our fruit. We've got a 71% pot success so far. Not fantastic. What is it like mentally when, as Jim said, you're not at the races so early on in a huge match?
Yeah, well, he's never been in this position, has he? Let alone a world final. All eyes are on you. And we keep saying it's the loneliest place out there, especially in that chair. But it's all new to him, so he didn't know what to expect. Maybe that could benefit him a little bit. He hasn't got the scars of what maybe Kyren has had in the past here, so he can sort of go, right, well, now I know how it feels. Let's get on the practice table, let's loosen up and get his his mental strength has been superb through the whole tournament, so he just needs to keep in that sort of headspace. But as they say, just push that cue through. Just needs a few confident strokes, a few good hits, a couple of clean shots, and he'll be back on track. But yeah, he definitely needs at least two of these frames.
So you're going at least 2. What would you say, Jim?
I think he needs 3. You know, I think 6-2. You know, Kyren will be. You know, he dominated the session. He's completely dominated that first session, even though the second game Jack should have won. But Kyren would be talking to his brother in the interval, saying, "Well, you know, did you see that I missed? Did you see that I missed?" They were mistakes that Kyren's not been doing throughout the tournament, but he didn't get punished there by Jack. And on the other side for Jack, he's not settled, so he's all at sea. So Kyren will think, now, I can't make these odd errors. But what Jack's problem is that you've got Kyren, such an aggressive player, goes for all these pots. So he needs, for me, Jack needs to win 1 frame, maybe a 70, settle himself down, and at least get 3 out of these 4.
And in terms of the number 3, Rhiannon spoke to us about 3 things Jack Jones has: temperament, technique, and the third thing, bottle. Let's find out how it's going to fare in this second mini session.
Brett, can you get that table?
The 5th frame, Jack Jones to break.
So the players are back, and a big 4 frames, particularly for Jack Jones, just trying to get a frame on the board, settle into this final. There's a long way to go, but Kyren Wilson, confident character, and we've seen that already. We saw it in the first frame of the century. He's dominated really since then. A couple of mistakes from him have gone unpunished. So let's see if Jones can get involved here. This is the biggest match of the season, and certainly everybody here, and I'm sure everyone watching, would like to see a close contest and great excitement tomorrow night. For Kyren Wilson, maybe he's not in that category. He wants to get this one as quickly as he can, and that's a terrific red.
It really is. That's the best of the lot so far. From where his cue ball was, right underneath that cushion. These are difficult. It's not the start that Jack Jones wanted to see your opponent knock one of those in. Is there a red that goes here?
8.
I don't think that one goes to left centre past the pink. Just creeps past the blue into the yellow pocket though, that red. As you can see, we've got a great view of it. I mean, I think they sometimes look very easy, those, when you see them on the TV and the camera's right behind them. It foreshortens the distance, but it's a great shot, isn't it, in reality?
Well, it was a terrific red. He got him with, of course, frame 1, he got him with a long red and cleared the table.
$15.
There's the pot success so far, as you can imagine, massively favouring Wilson. And the couple that he's missed, and there have been a couple of glaring misses actually, but they haven't been punished, so he's put them completely out of his mind. He's also ahead on the safety. And the long potting as well. Jack Jones has only taken a couple on from distance, hasn't got any yet. Well, just tried to get into them there, but the cue ball has just sort of come off the pack.
Yeah, that's certainly not how he played it. He wanted to hit a lot more of the pack of reds than he ended up doing. again,
Kyren Wilson, 22.
he felt he might make a few there, but not really doing a lot of damage with that visit, even though it started so well. If the red jumped, or was my imagination? Maybe not the cleanest of contacts there on that last shot. Oh, dearie me. Oh, dear. It makes you just wince, isn't it? You see that ball missed and the cue ball absolutely careering into the bunch. Red's going in all directions.
There was a loud groan, wasn't there, from the audience? They thought that might be the start of something. But the danger is it'll be the end of something, this frame, because Wilson now, with the red spread as they are, has got a great chance for 5-0.
Seven. Eight.
Well, it's pretty much one-way traffic, this match, despite Kyren Wilson not quite going on with the perfect snooker of frame one. He's still winning all the exchanges, potting all the balls.
16.
There's no reason to believe he's not going to get the frame one here either, I would say. It was 20 years ago, isn't it, that Graham Dott led Ronnie O'Sullivan 5-0. Ended up, well, he was behind after the second session, 9-7, and then
20.
Ronnie won the match 18-8, but he was 5-0 up, Graham Dott. The man sitting in the chair is not Ronnie O'Sullivan. That's the problem.
21.
Jack Jones, as good as he is not that man.
Twenty-three. Thirty-one.
Well, a lot of people speak about the sort of the plight, if you like, or certainly the difficulties for Jack Jones in this match. But really, Kyren Wilson's never been world champion. He's lost in the world final. He just wants to win all these frames while the going is good, while things are going for him, and that man is in the chair.
39.
This was the problem. I mean, he really did open everything up there. And not as if Kyren is a multiple
40.
champion who's been there before and done it. You know, he's looking for his first. So he's got every right to be absolutely ruthless in his dream of becoming world champion. And he's already making good inroads.
48.
Yep, the frame has gone. So Wilson guaranteed to have a lead after session 1, and it could be a big one.
$54.
Of course, we have had session whitewashes here. You mentioned John Parrott in 91. I suppose the other one, 1985, Steve Davis. 7-0 against Dennis Taylor. It went 8-0. I think everyone knows what happened in the end.
62.
I think the key thing, though, here is that when Wilson's been making mistakes, they just have gone completely unpunished. That's going to have to change. He's missed that one, but it doesn't matter. 62, a quick kill. Jack Jones missed that ready, opened the lot up. And Kyren Wilson has moved further in front. 5-0 with 3 frames left to play here this afternoon. So we'll look back at that last frame. It didn't last very long, did it? It was only just under 10 minutes.
Indeed, and the trend is continuing. I mean, he's getting in a couple of times a frame, isn't he? All bar the first frame, which, as I say, made that beautiful break of 129 total clearance. As we said in commentary, the first since Stephen Hendry did so. But, I mean, this was the shot. I mean, he didn't make that many from the chance, Kyren Wilson, but when this happens, you know, your heart sinks if you're Jack Jones or any one of his family or friends, because he's just left everything in the open. And I don't think Kyren is going to need too many invitations to win frames. Again, the rest play is immaculate. He just looks, at the moment, a different class of the man he's playing, quite frankly.
Kyren Wilson making all the running in this year's World Final thus far. 5-0, 3 frames left in the session. He began the match with a century. That's the first time that's happened since 1993. And that's also the last time the World Final ended with a session to spare. Nobody wants to see that, obviously. But those sort of whispers will start to grow if Jack Jones doesn't start winning frames.
Well, he's taking this on, sending the cue around the back of the black and up the table. Well, Kyren Wilson just has to keep applying the pressure, just keep Jack Jones at arm's length, make him do something special to get frames won, not present him with something. That's a good safety shot from Jack. Opened the balls up there, whether it's a plan or not, I'm not sure, but let's put Kyren in a spot of bother here. Might be able to play the up and down safety on the right-hand red.
Foul. And a miss.
It's a bit pacey, this cue ball. Just slowed down a bit by the brown ball. So it might get put back. I mean, I think the cue ball across so far to the left there, when you're playing safe on a red to the right, you've got to hit across the face of the ball. Well, he's taking one on here. He wants to be positive. It's got to go in. Didn't have to play it, that was the thing. Well, he wanted to be positive, playing a shot that he could have put Kyren back in because he had he still had to hit that red. But this was nowhere near. Getting the support, which is kind of nice, and also it can have the opposite effect. The crowd want to see him win frames, of course, understandably. It's the biggest day of his life playing here. But it's not an easy shot he's got to start with. Kyren's miss has not left something simple. I mean, that only just goes. See that happening, couldn't you? It was part of the pocket was obscured by the brown ball, and he's not potted the ball for a long while now. As you saw, 36 plus minutes, and now there's a plant turned up. Goodness. I've watched a lot of Jack Jones and I've been very much in admiration for his game, but I must say I'd be a little bit worried if I was in his camp right now, because he's not really participated yet and the frames are just disappearing in front of him, aren't they? It's all right saying it's a long match, but he could have won a lot of frames this afternoon in his target to get to 18 without reply.
Yeah, he needs a really easy chance. I don't just mean the first ball, I mean the sort of first 6 or 7, just get something going. Because he's not been getting close to the last few pots.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him in his chair there. He looks somewhat uncomfortable, doesn't he, out there today? And he hasn't been like that all the way through.
13.
Yeah, it's a funny sort of feeling in the room right now. It's a bit muted. As you say, he's been getting support, Jones, when he's had chances, but they're just not going in.
Well, you can see the bottom red goes there, passes the other two. They're basically not in the way at all, unlike the shot that Jack Jones had, where the brown was... The pocket was partially obscured by the brown ball, and it went straight into it. I'm not sure right now where his first frame is coming from, quite honestly. Clearly, it will come.
27.
Right now, it doesn't seem very likely. The World Championship final is the longest match of the snooker season. It feels at the moment like you could almost say that the Kyren is already in a very powerful position to be champion, and we've only been going a couple of hours maximum.
$33.
And again, that's nicely controlled. And of course, he'll be feeling better every ball he pots, and indeed every mistake Jack Jones makes.
$39.
John Parrott in 91, after going 7-0 up, he won 18-11, so that lead was established, and that was the manner, the number of frames he won by.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? With a sizable lead, you can, share mini sessions. As long as you just keep winning frames here or there,
46.
You're going to maintain a big lead. Kyren is looking to do that here.
$47.
Of course, he started the match with great intent. It was the same last year with Luca Bracel, who won the first frame against Mark Selby in a single-figure amount of time, 6 or 7 minutes, and he came out flying. And it's the same with Kyren here.
$53. 54.
Well, he's worked his whole life to get into this sort of position. He will not be showing any mercy, neither should he. think they're concerned. I mean, they weren't easy reds he went for, but he didn't get close to them. Either red that he took on in this frame, Jack Jones. Sat there sort of stroking his chin, not looking
61.
comfortable.
And needs another red to get another one on the board. Following this blue. No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's well played. So
66.
this red and a snooker is required. The black to follow it. Each frame over again.
67.
Well, the Wilson family applauding. They won't get carried away yet, but they're liking what they're watching. Their boy is looking rock solid, and his opponent is struggling.
74. 75.
Jack Jones's pot success for the match down at 63%. Wilson's at 93%.
$82. 83.
Chance for another century here, and you know, he's not hanging around in this break either. It's not taking him that long.
88. $89.
Going to take a good shot to get on the red here, either kissing the green or moving the red itself. He's played a little deft nudge on the green, lovely, really nice.
94. 95.
So, can he pot this yellow and make a second century? Just piling on the misery.
98.
It's looking good. It's looking good. And so is Kyren Wilson, you've got to say. 2 centuries in the session. Completely outplaying Jack Jones. And he's, whatever happens in the last 2 frames, he's going to have a really good lead coming back tonight.
It's first-class stuff, isn't it? It really is. You know, he's sensing that there is a real opening here early in such a long match to just get so many frames won. And he's sort of just not hanging around with it. Been a terrific break. If anything, it's a more confident break than the first one, if that's possible. That was a lovely break, the 129. A couple of balls missed in between, but not many, quite frankly. Not many chances have come Jack Jones' way. There's been one here or there.
There's a second total clearance from Kyren Wilson, 125. In full control now at 6-0. Kyren Wilson's 10th appearance here at the Crucible over the years. Of course, he was runner-up to Ronnie O'Sullivan in that rather strange championship, the Summer Championship, wasn't it, August in 2020, when we didn't get full crowds. Indeed, for most of it, we didn't have any crowds. There were people there for the final, but it wasn't full. He competed well on the first day, actually. He was only 10-7 down overnight, but he lost 18-8, so only won 1 more frame. But anyway, fast forward 4 years, and it could not be going any better. Of course, he made a maximum here in the first round against Ryan Day last year. And all through this championship, he's been on top, apart from towards halfway against Dave Gilbert. Of course, he broke the back of that match in the second half, the third session, but other than that, when he's been ahead against players, he stayed there. Well, both players have left the arena, and for Jack Jones, he needs something pretty magical to happen just to limit the damage now. That's the number one priority for this session, and then come out tonight and try and play a lot better. He needs a frame, and we've been saying it all afternoon. He hasn't got any yet. It's 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, anything but the worst case scenario of a session whitewash, and that would, well, there's just literally nothing you can take out of that, is there? Because you get introduced tonight, and there's a whole lot of sympathy and all of that sort of stuff you don't really want. So he doesn't want that to happen. He needs to get this next frame or one of the next two, just put something on the board, or else, well, I don't know quite what's going to happen in this final. I mean, the thing is, we've kind of underestimated Jack Jones for a long time. Kyren Wilson has certainly not got involved in that. I don't get some of the players have assumed they're going to win, perhaps, but he's absolutely all over him at the moment.
The 7th frame, Jack Jones to break.
Jack Jones staring down the barrel, 6-0 behind, with 2 to play in this session. He's trying to get something out of it, but Kyren Wilson is looking good. He's had 2 total clearances. He's just getting on with his job, which is to put frames on the board, and he only needs 12 more, and he'll be world champion for the first time.
Well, there you are. That's the biggest cheer of the whole day. Yeah, when that fluke went in, it was like party time in here, wasn't it? It was a huge ovation for a fluke. But the context of it, I understand why everyone appreciated it so much. It's no good. Oh dear. Can't get things going. And that shot there, he's a little bit jabby on it, I felt. Nothing's going to come of this.
No, so even the fluke hasn't really helped. I was watching Kyren actually.
Jones 8.
After the fluke went in and all the cheers, and his face didn't change. He didn't smile, he didn't frown. He's just almost saying, okay, let's see what happens. And the answer was not very much in the end. Just one more pot, and that was it. Feeling confident enough to take that on, but having got close, he has left another chance.
Well, it can be a shot determined by the pace you hit it as to whether you get the contact with the cluster of reds. If you hit it too hard, it will always come across that way because the spin you put on the ball doesn't really have time to take. Maybe just overhit.
Jack Jones 3.
As you got cover, yes, is the answer. Pink is in the way. But the cushion first is the way that he can still pot it. Wow, lovely pot. I mean, I don't think he can complain about positioning of the balls either, because the black, by chance, of course, has ended up over the pocket or close to it. He didn't know anything about that, as good as he is. Everything's falling into place for one man, and for his opponent, absolutely nothing's going right.
Hey.
It's a perfect storm, really, for Kyren this session.
Sure. 9.
Yeah, I think the only one who's missed with the rest, it was in the second frame, wasn't it? It wasn't easy either, but all the others have been dispatched.
15. $16.
Well, Jack Jones had that fluke at the start of this frame, which could have led to something, but he actually played not much of a shot on the black to try and do something
23.
to the reds. It just almost slightly apologetic effort to get reds open.
$24.
I'll be getting the reds open here, I think. It's a good split, that, and he's on the red to middle. It was well played. Crucible fizzed into them.
31.
Hit them a second time.
32.
So you'd say that the balls haven't gone far enough here, but again, his prowess with the rest might just
38.
save the day. Of course, he can miss with it. It's not impossible. He's just very drilled, you know. He looks so naturally good with it.
39.
The other comparison to John Parrott, which is pertinent maybe, is of course Steve Davis bashed him up in that final 18-3, but on the way to winning in 91 in the semis, he beat Davis and felt he'd exercised a few ghosts. Last year here, Kyren Wilson was hammered by John Higgins, wasn't he? 13-2. This year he beat Higgins in the quarters 13-8 and
46.
was talking yesterday about how good that made him feel, how confident for the rest of the tournament. We're seeing the signs of that here. He's in full control of this final.
47.
And there's a very serious chance this is going to be 8-0 coming back tonight.
$54. $55.
A lot of these pots have been going right in the middle of the pocket. We know the pockets aren't as generous as they were maybe 12 months ago, where I thought they were certainly a little bit oversized. But they're flooding into the back of the pocket. At the moment, he isn't really looking like anything's about to go wrong.
60. $61.
Needs his black and a further red, and the discomfort for Jack Jones is intensifying, isn't it? He doesn't look comfortable out there. I mean, it's not just because of the scoreline, but he just doesn't seem the same player that's been so brilliant all the way through.
68.
Frame ball. Ooh, he just went in actually, but it's gone in, and Kyren Wilson going to be 7-0 up. Yeah, this was side door. Chance for a third century of the afternoon.
$76.
Jones did have a chance after the fluke, didn't he? Wilson went for, so he gets that red out, went for the red to the green pocket, missed it. And Jack Jones tried to get into the reds off the yellow, but missed them completely.
$82. $83.
If he's a bit straight on this, it could be the double. If he has got an angle, he'll try and nudge the red out. Yes, he'll play the latter. Try and move this red. Yeah. All boxes are ticked. His family have just got the right sort of
89.
way about it. They're not getting too excited. They're enjoying it. They know it's a long match, but it might not be
90.
as long a match as it usually is. The way things are going, let's be honest, it's very one-sided, this session. Can't really dress it up any other way, can we?
Well, they'll be disappointed not to make another century, but 90 will do nicely. He presses on. It's 7-0. Yeah, it's at the moment a landslide, and
So what's happened in frame 7 here? He got in first. He actually got by virtue of this fluke, which brought the house down. Actually, when it went in, it was met with absolute ovation. But the next shot he played, he didn't really do anything here. He didn't. I don't know what he played quite, but to this day, I'll never probably know what he played there. It didn't make a lot of sense, that shot. But he's a player with no confidence. But then all the little nudges now go in the way of Kyren Wilson. I mean, he pushed the black close to the pocket. This was a really good split. You know, he got the cue ball to zip into the bunch a second time. So it's a complete landslide right now. There is still one more frame, one more chance for Jack Jones to get a frame out of this afternoon session.
There was a British sitcom years ago called Dad's Army. There was a character in that called Jack Jones, and his catchphrase was "Don't panic." Well, you could forgive this Jack Jones for panicking right now. 7-0. It's not just the scoreline. He's done very little of note, unfortunately. Highest break 24, pot success in the 60s, and his opponent is picking up the pieces, and he's playing really well.
Please. Thank you. The final frame of this session, Kyren Wilson to break.
So the last frame of the afternoon, 7-0 to Kyren Wilson. Can he complete a session? Whitewash. That's what Steve Davis did against Dennis Taylor in 1985. 7 frames then. Of course, Taylor still won. And John Parrott also against Jimmy White in 91 won 7-0 in the opening session. And he did go on to win the title.
Ball's flying around the table here, and it doesn't appear that he's got anything but the double that's any good to him. The red to the right corner from the side of the bunch is just going into the reds. So the double to middle, and in it goes. A few people seem to know in running that that was on its way. We're behind the line of it.
Five.
Well, he couldn't get very close to this next red, but of course with the black available to the left corner, it's a question of not having to hit it very hard. The pot will never be a simple one, but position is assured if he runs through. There's one that is for
Kyren Wilson 10.
Collector's item, a missed shot like that at mid-range. He slightly overhit that one, unlike him. But he hasn't missed much today, so it's hard to be critical.
Well, let's see. He's in. Kyren Wilson has broken down unexpectedly. Can he just at least finish the afternoon in a positive way? There are his results. I mean, he's beaten some terrific players. Zhang Anda, of course, established as a top 16 player. Si Jiawei, semi-finalist last year. Judd Trump, one of the players of the season. Stuart Bingham, another former champion. but he's not yet shown any of that grit and form in this match. Still being positive, though. He's gone into them. And he is on a red, I think.
He is. It was a good effort, though. He really did open them up. He's on a red, but it's not so easy to get to a colour because he has to force this. But the reds really have opened. Good shot.
It's just the nature of things that, despite Wilson's excellent play, Jack Jones is going to get, if he wins this frame, certainly at this visit, the biggest cheer by far of the afternoon. He's given himself some sort of chance.
It's okay. 13. Yes, you're allowed to use all the pocket, which he did there. Well, the match needs this frame to go to Jack Jones, but he really needs it more than
18.
Anything else. It's been incredibly one-sided, but just to get a start is what he would be desperate for here. His next shot on the red's not going to be from very close again because he played with left-hand side to finish the other side of the blue, but hasn't quite made it there.
.24.
Well, that one was middle of the pocket. All the pressure he's put all the players under, we've mentioned that he's beaten, not just this year, but last year as well. Ali Carter and Neal Robertson, he ran Mark Allen close. He's not applied yet to Kyren Wilson. But it's been a fairy tale, really, for Jack Jones 30. To reach the final. If he wins it from here, it'll be an even greater one, won't it? But it starts with just getting on the scoreboard. This is his chance now.
.31.
He's done well here. Connections, all hoping that he can get this frame 36. On his father there, as you saw on the right. He's done well, given that the pink and black have never really been in play. It's been reds and blues. It's not always easy to just score off that 37. Ball alone, and that's how he's had to do this.
.42. .43.
Well, it's by far his biggest break of the match, but he needs to continue now, try and get this frame put away at this visit. And then hope for more of the same right from the off this evening.
it was torn between two decisions there. One to play with more pace and finish on the red below the black, or hold for the other red, but there was quite an angle on the blue, so it was quite hard to get the bite on the cue ball to stop it. He's on the red, but he wanted to be a little straighter than this. Very good.
49. $53.
Well, by far the best he's played today, but this is the kind of snooker which has got him there. Very determined break making and some nice touches as well, which we are at last seeing in this final.
He needs one more red after this blue to get to the snooker's required stage. It's been a gutsy effort, this, hasn't it? You know, he's been battered and bruised this afternoon. It's just run a little awkward. He still needs the red.
59.
It has run awkward as well. I mean, this is not a nice little shot. I wonder if there'll be any reaction if he does win this frame. Well, he's going to win it. Yeah, there is a reaction, and why not? Not from him. Nothing.
No, he'll be more than satisfied. The crowd have appreciated how well Kyren Wilson have played, but they're always going to support the guy who's struggling. And they are giving him plenty, aren't they? That was the moment, yeah.
65.
But he's deep in trouble in the match itself. In this frame, snooker's needed 3 to tie. Wilson's going to play on, but looking like 7-1.
I suppose he played on because of the yellow and pink close to each other, which is a good area to get your cue ball in behind. Ultimately 3 snookers to tie, so I don't think he's going to be winning the session 8-0 somehow. Maybe the occasion got to Jack Jones this afternoon, and maybe the occasion inspired Kyren Wilson. That combination is why we've got this scoreline.
Yeah, we must credit Wilson for the way he started. First World Final that started with a century break for 31 years. They are rare. Of course, he's made since then another one, 125.90 in the 7th frame as well. A couple of 60s along the way, scored heavily. Pot success 93%. And it's a little sort of sign as well, isn't it? I mean, he could have conceded this frame, but why should he? He would love to force Jones to win it rather than just handing it to him. Oh, he needs to be on the black. Oh dear. Well, it's looking unlikely now. Yeah. Well, the evening will be a serious affair. The afternoon has ended with a bit of levity, but it's Kyren Wilson who is firmly on top. Jack Jones has won his first frame, but my word, he has it all to do when they come back at 7 o'clock. Kyren Wilson, a couple of centuries. He's played superbly, and he leads the world final 7-1.
Kyren Wilson really has been superb, it has to be said. But Jimmy, the importance of that 8th frame for Jack Jones, for the audience, for the snooker community, for everyone, massive.
Yeah, you know, the only person who didn't want Jack to get that last frame was Kyren, I think, because, you know, he was in a terrible situation. He was all at sea, you know, and he made a really good break that last frame. But Kyren has been awesome. He's scoring, he's long potting, you know, he's kept that standard that he's had probably every session of this championship. And, you know, if you don't take the opportunities that Jack had in the second frame, all of a sudden you're in big trouble.
We had ahead of this one, we were talking about the temperament and bottle of Jack Jones. This has probably been the first time in the tournament we've seen him actually physically, visibly look uncomfortable.
Yeah, he was slumped in his chair, he's dropping his cue when he's missed, the head's down a little bit. I said to Jim, this is the first time I'm not seeing him upright, just a little mumble is all he's ever done. But you can tell it's just a little bit embarrassing for him out there. It's a massive opportunity for him just to try and relax and enjoy himself. But it's so hard it's easily said than done. It's so hard to enjoy yourself when you're struggling so much. And it's such a shame because he has worked hard and been determined this whole championship. But luckily for him, he showed what he's made of with that last frame. It was a great little break and he desperately needed that.
Jimmy, you also looked tired because he did his interview with Jenny just behind our studio here. He got outside, he was signing autographs, doing selfies with fans at midnight, presumably on a high. He's then got to sleep, come in again. It's got to take it out of you.
Yeah, you know, and obviously not being in the final. Kyren had that when he played O'Sullivan, so he would have, you know, thought about that because Kyren, you know, the ultimate professional, trying to do everything he can to win this World Championships. And when John Higgins had that amazing clearance against Mark Allen, Kyren Wilson knew it was important the first session to get up to a good start, and he went 4-0 up on John Higgins, and John Higgins never really got close to him. And it looks like the case today. The second frame was huge. You know, I'm just pleased he won a frame. But, you know, for him to win this final, he's got to play top draw stuff for every session.
And we know he can beat the giants. He's done it against Higgins, done it against Trump, 2 former world champions. We're going to talk about the plausibility of a comeback in a second. But, Jimmy, that frame 6, opportunities missed for Jack Jones, Kyren gets in.
Yeah, it wasn't just the way that he missed. He missed by quite a distance. You know, like this shot here, you know, doesn't even hit the jaws. And you can see when he drops his arm, he's looking at his back arm, meaning it's not gone through straight. So, you know, that's worrying signs for a snooker player. It's like you think you're not online. This is a difficult shot most times because the brown is hindering the vision of the pot. But, you know, to hit the brown, what happens is this really does affect your confidence. And in your rear mirror, you've got Kyren Wilson fully aggressive. Any long shot he's going to take on. He's not going to fuse everything. He's not going to go into his shell. So, you know, I'm just pleased he won the last frame.
We all are. I think, like you said, apart from Taylor and Kyren, everyone else, we love to see that. And Rianne, huge frame for him to win and also get confidence and remind himself that he's a world-class player.
Yeah, exactly. And again, he enjoyed his little celebration with the crowd when he got that frame, didn't he? But as you say, when you got players like Kyren coming back at you, because Kyren has missed a few balls, hasn't he, Jim? He's not played like unmissable snooker, flawless snooker. He has had chances, but this was a great shot. I mean, he played a great shot to open the pack up as well, but when you've not been cueing right, tight pockets and their arms a bit tight, and then obviously he started potting the balls cleanly then, and it's just a big difference. Them 2 or 3 shots at the start of a break mean big things, and he wasn't getting that chance to do that. And that was a tricky frame ball, and we were all just so pleased for him, and obviously he's just enjoyed that little moment, and hopefully, like he did against Stuart, just relax him a little bit. I know he's got a little time now to stew on it, but hopefully he can get some good food, have a little rest and come back.
Now, I know this goes all throughout Europe, but one thing about British people, we love an underdog, and this man is now an underdog almost to the nth degree, an exponential underdog. But there have been huge comebacks at the Crucible historically. And just to remind ourselves of some of the absolute finest. So 1985, Dennis Taylor, Steve Davis, 9-1 down. It was actually 7-0 down before then. And then it's Dennis Taylor goes back to that final frame, black ball decider, watched by 18.5 million people. Then you've got Mark Williams, Matthew Stevens, one of my favourite matches of all time from 7-13, manages to convert that. The Selby against Higgins, we can all remember. And then something happened in 92-ish. We don't really remember many of the details about that one. Jimmy, apologise about kind of getting into this one. What is it like when you feel a player coming back at you?
Well, yeah, I've not really mentioned this before, but there was two brothers who was with us. I had quite a few friends and family up, but there was two brothers who wanted, they'd thought had already won, and they was arguing with a tournament director about going on stage if I won, and there was a big commotion. I had to come back from the hotel. No disrespect to Stephen Hendry, but I lost my sort of focus a bit. But Hendry played absolutely fantastic. I think he had 8 breaks over 70. But yeah, I was nearly over that, Rads. Thanks a lot.
Well, one of those brothers, were they twins by any chance?
No, there was just two guys who sort of ended up, they was coming to... I had quite a few people come at the time. They were friends of friends, and they were demanding to be in the photos and the thing, and there was a big commotion. And I had to come back from the hotel and sort it out, which not the best preparation.
Don't remember it not.
Not taking anything away from Hendry. He was absolutely amazing.
No question.
But that wasn't obviously a good thing to happen to me.
The other side of that coin, though, Jim, 7-0 down against John Parrott, and you managed to close arrears.
Yeah.
How did you do it?
See, the situation is, it's difficult to try and play your own game when you're so far behind. I was behind with... I was 12-4 down with Steve Davis in '84, and I got it back to 13-11. And you just got to try and concentrate on your own game. But what Jack has done the whole of this tournament, he's focused on his own cue action, his own technique, his own bubble. As Rhian pointed out, today, he wasn't there. He wasn't the same person sitting in that seat. He looked nervous, he looked flustered, you know, he looked a bit frustrated. So he's got that frame on the board. If he can come out 3-1 the next session and then 3-1 the session after that, he's still going to be behind, but he's got a chance.
What can he do technically, Rhian? Because I watch that and I think, right, you can't give any more effort. He's obviously giving 100%. Have you clocked possibly a couple of things where you think that's where he's letting himself down?
He just seems a little bit tight. The arm's not loose or warm, and obviously going on the practice table in the little mid-session, you just try and do everything you can, have a little practice. Don't overdo it, because you've come here for 2 weeks and you've done a lot of snooker, but you just want to, 10 minutes before, make sure you're hitting some balls just before you walk out to make sure all the nervous energy has gone out of the body and the cue arm a little bit, and he's just got to go out there now and think, right, I may have already lost this technically, but nothing to lose. Go out there, go for my shots, be confident. Good ball striking in the first 2 or 3 shots of a break, and it's you can go on a roll then. But it's going to be a tough task, but his temperament, technique, and he's got the bottle. He showed that all tournament. He's just got to draw back on that at some point.
Well, Kyren maybe gets an extra perhaps 10% by having his brother with him. Thankfully for Jack Jones, he's got 9 siblings. So if that's 10% each, he could really encroach on Kyren's lead. Fingers crossed the Cumbrand crew can come down here and give him the G and the belief that he needs. But the action will continue this evening. 7:45 Central European time, 6:45 British summer time. It will continue for the second session of the World Snooker Championship final. It is scheduled, as things stand, for 4 sessions over 2 days, but there can be only one winner, and we will be finding out who is the 2024 king. As for us here, pleasure to have the company of Rhian. Jimmy, will you be back, or are you having an evening off?
I'm going to have the evening off and practice for the seniors.
always thinking about the future, because preparation never takes a day off, not when your middle name is Warren. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you in a few hours' time.